Lucy Mott always believed that pottery was the art of shaping, not just clay, but one's own life. Her tiny shop, the Dewdrop Pottery Studio, nestled in a corner of Dewdrop Downs, exemplified her dream of living quietly, surrounded by the warmth of her neighbors and the contentment of crafting something both beautiful and useful. She had moved to Dewdrop Downs only a year ago, seeking solace after a long stint in a stressful office job. The perpetual aroma of freshly cut grass and the low hum of neighborly chatter proved to be exactly what her soul needed. While she was still very much an amateur, her talent lay in her boundless creativity, and she prided herself on molding unique shapes inspired by the idyllic countryside. Her studio stood right behind the cheerful main street, and each morning Lucy would hoist open the large wooden doors to let in the sunlight. With a warm cup of chamomile tea in her hands, she would stare at rows of freshly thrown pots, plates, and bowls. She loved feeling the clay's texture between her fingers, smoothing the lumps and guiding the wheel's motion as if drawing out secrets buried in the earth. The business was modest, but for Lucy, it wasn't about earning a grand fortune. She derived the greatest pleasure from knowing people in Dewdrop Downs used her ceramics in their daily routines, a favorite mug for morning coffee or a hand-crafted dish for special meals. One crisp October morning, Lucy was checking over her new set of bowls when she noticed something she had missed the day before. On the inside rim of a shallow dish, there appeared to be an extremely faint series of letters etched into the clay before the glaze had been fired. She squinted, leaning closer, and made out the message, "Remember the garden wall." Perplexed, she traced her fingertip gently over the words. It was subtle, but unmistakably deliberate. She didn't recall etching such a phrase. Her first assumption was that she had spent too many late nights at the wheel and scribbled it absent-mindedly. Shaking off her confusion, she decided to brush it aside as a quirk of her creative mind. Only days later, she discovered another baffling message. This time, she was tidying up her display area, a cozy wooden shelf near the door, when she noticed a small platter she hadn't sold. Flipping it over to wipe off some dust, she found a delicate etching on the bottom, faintly glinting under the overhead lamp. "From small seeds, mysteries grow." Lucy recognized her own glaze work, but the text seemed foreign, as though someone else had scrawled it when the clay was still soft. A prickle of uncertainty formed at the base of her neck. She stopped dusting, set the platter aside, and pulled out a stool. Lucy tried to recall whether she had left the studio unlocked when she went out for lunch or ran errands. Could anyone have slipped inside, etched the words, and vanished? The thought unsettled her. Although Dewdrop Downs was known for its safety, Lucy made a note to start locking her doors even if she was stepping out for just a few minutes. Later that evening, she wrapped the platter in a clean towel and brought it home, planning to examine it more thoroughly in better light. Her cottage was modest but cozy, its walls lined with bookshelves filled with mysteries and do-it-yourself pottery guides. Sitting at the kitchen table, accompanied by the comforting hum of her kettle, she inspected both pieces, the shallow bowl and the platter. The phrases seemed connected somehow. "Remember the garden wall," and "From small seeds, mysteries grow." Lucy found herself thinking about the quaint gardens in town, many of which boasted brick walls or picket fences. Dewdrop Downs had no shortage of gardening enthusiasts after all. She jotted down the words in a notebook and stared at them, hoping inspiration would strike. Unsure of who might be behind these secret etchings, Lucy confided in her closest friend, Rosemary Parker. Rosemary ran the local flower shop and was known for her keen interest in anything that smelled of intrigue. When Lucy showed her the pottery pieces, Rosemary's eyes widened with excitement. She gasped, turning a small watering can in her hands as though it, too, might contain secret etchings. "Your pottery is definitely getting interesting," she teased, running her fingertip over the hidden words on the platter. "But who would want to leave cryptic messages inside your work?" "Maybe someone wants to send me on a treasure hunt," Lucy replied, half joking. Rosemary arched an eyebrow, her curly red hair bouncing as she considered the possibility. "If it's a treasure hunt," she said finally, "count me in. I love a mystery." They agreed to remain vigilant, especially about any suspicious activity near the studio. Rosemary offered to keep an eye out from her own shop just across the street. "I see nearly everyone who comes and goes," she reminded Lucy confidently. "If someone's slipping into your studio, I'll notice." Soon enough, another puzzling development arrived. A few mornings later, Lucy found a small, handmade jar placed at the very edge of her display shelf. She had not made it, nor placed it there herself. Its lid was affixed snugly, and the glaze looked vaguely like Lucy's usual style, except the color was a hue she'd never used, a gentle sea foam green. Inside, etched onto the curved interior, she read, "Check the hidden door after dark." The words were so carefully written, Lucy had to marvel at the unknown potter's skill. This certainly wasn't a random vandal. Whoever it was seemed to have real pottery expertise and a flair for the mysterious. Though unsettled, Lucy felt a thrill run through her. She carefully wrapped the jar and showed it to Rosemary that same afternoon, explaining the new message. Rosemary, eyes shining, whispered, "Now, it really feels like a treasure hunt. We have a garden wall, seeds, and a hidden door. Do you think there's some old property in town with a secret entrance? Maybe behind all those overgrown hedges?" Lucy shrugged, but felt an odd flutter in her stomach. "It's possible, but why involve me? I'm just an amateur potter." That evening, Lucy decided to lock up the studio and linger discreetly in the shadows outside, hoping to catch a glimpse of anyone approaching. Under the dim light of a street lamp, she watched customers filter out from the bakery next door and pass by the front of her studio, but none paused. Hours slipped by with no sign of a mysterious intruder. Eventually, boredom and the chilly autumn air coaxed her back inside. Perhaps she needed another approach. The next day, Lucy paid a visit to the Dewdrop Historical Society, hoping to learn about old walls and hidden doors around town. She met with Mrs. Whitaker, a frail, wise woman who seemed to know every last nook of Dewdrop Downs. Lucy explained that she was curious about local architecture quirks, especially those involving garden walls or secret doors. Mrs. Whitaker regarded Lucy through thin bifocals, tapping a pencil on the desk. "We do have old stone walls in the Eastvale district. The Farnsworth estate was rumored to have a secret garden door that only the family knew how to open. Then there's Marshwood House, with a walled courtyard that hasn't been opened in decades. You'll find plenty of garden walls if you poke around, dear." On leaving, Lucy clutched a few pamphlets detailing these historical properties, deciding to explore them on her day off. But she still couldn't shake the feeling that whomever was leaving these etched messages might be expecting her to unravel something specific. She returned to her studio, resolved to scrutinize her workspace for any sign that someone might have used her pottery wheel without her noticing. She searched every corner, peering under tables and checking behind shelves. At last, in a tiny alcove near the kiln, she discovered fresh clay splatters on the floor that didn't match her own current project. Someone had indeed been using her workspace covertly. There were faint footprints, too, leading to a back window that opened onto a narrow alley. It was a sobering realization. Her privacy had been invaded, her craft used as a cryptic message board. Rather than react with anger, Lucy found herself curious about the patron's purpose. She decided to fight secrecy with openness. The following morning, she pinned a note to her door, reading, "To the hidden potter, let's talk." Beneath that line, she drew a small clay bowl and signed, "Lucy." She hoped that if this mysterious potter saw the message, they might be compelled to contact her directly instead of sneaking around. She left it at that and busied herself with her usual tasks, shaping new mugs, greeting customers, and sorting glazes. The day passed quietly, and near closing time, Lucy was disappointed that no new messages had appeared. She locked the door and closed the shutters, resigning herself to patience. However, the following afternoon, when she stepped out for a quick lunch, something changed. Upon her return, Lucy found a discreet envelope slid under her door. Inside rested a single slip of paper with delicately curled handwriting. I cannot speak openly. There are prying eyes, but the Farnsworth estate hides the answers. Please, meet me there at midnight. Let the shapes guide you. Lucy's heart thundered as she read the note. This was indeed a treasure hunt of sorts, but the cryptic style made her uneasy. Could she be walking into danger? She recalled Farnsworth Estate, rumoured to have a secret garden with a hidden door. She decided to consult Rosemary. Meeting a stranger at midnight? Are you sure that's wise? Rosemary fiddled with a rose in a vase. I'd go with you, but I'm worried it might be a trap. Yet Lucy's intrigue surpassed her caution. I'll be careful, she promised, but I need to see what this is all about. Later that night, Lucy found herself under the faint glow of the moon, creeping up the gravel driveway of the Farnsworth estate. The place was more imposing than she'd expected. Tall iron gates, weathered stone walls, and dead leaves swirling across the ground. She carefully pushed open the gate, which squeaked like a startled creature. The front door was boarded up, but Lucy skirted around the side, aiming for the rumoured garden. She soon spotted a low stone wall topped with ivy. A rusted metal door stood partially concealed by vines. It seemed the perfect place for a clandestine meeting. Though her nerves prickled, Lucy tried to remain calm. She searched for any sign of the mysterious Potter but saw nothing. Then, from the shadows, a low voice. You came. Lucy spun around. A figure with a hood stepped forward. By the faint moonlight, she discerned that it was an older man with kind eyes. He glanced about anxiously, beckoning Lucy to follow him through the rusted door. Inside the enclosed garden lay a clutter of fallen statues and creeping vines, reclaiming the grounds. Who are you? Lucy whispered, noticing that he held a small, unglazed mug in his hand. Jerome Farnsworth, the man said softly, gesturing for Lucy to sit on a stone bench. From beneath his coat, he produced a small tool, a potter's needle. Studio. Weeks ago, he continued. Wanted to recruit someone creative, but with no local alliances that might compromise secrecy. You seemed the best fit. Lucy frowned. But why the secret messages? Couldn't you just talk to me? Jerome exhaled in frustration. My family's estate is under the threat of being sold illegally. A distant relative wants to claim ownership to pockets of land that house ancient Farnsworth knowledge. Documents, diaries, genealogical records that could prove my family had certain rights to this land. My relative, malicious as he is, will do anything to destroy evidence that contradicts him. I was trying to hide clues in your pottery to direct you here, while throwing him off the trail. Lucy's mind spun. So you used my studio to create cryptic messages? Jerome nodded apologetically. I wanted to lead you to the estate because you might help me unearth these documents. I suspect they're hidden behind the garden wall. My relative Thomas Farnsworth skulks around, trying to intercept me. I feared that if I told you openly, he might catch wind. You're the only person I trust to keep it discreet. She felt an odd surge of pride that he saw her as trustworthy, despite the unorthodox approach. All right, she agreed cautiously. I'll help. Over the next hour, the two rummaged through the garden, tearing away vines and brushing debris off the walls. They searched for any sign of a compartment. Eventually, Lucy noticed a faint rectangular outline on a section of the stone wall. This could be the hidden door, she murmured. Jerome pressed a hand against it, but it wouldn't budge. Lucy remembered the cryptic phrases. Remember the garden wall. From small seeds, mysteries grow. Check the hidden door after dark. She wondered if they indicated a latch or a locking mechanism. With Lucy's suggestion, they examined the leftover Farnsworth statues. One depicted a woman holding a bouquet of flowers. Another, a child holding a clay pot. Is that a clue for me? Lucy joked, running her hand along the chipped pot in the statue's arms. To her surprise, there was a small indentation inside. She fished out a rusted key. Jerome's eyes lit up. "You see, that's why I needed someone with an eye for details." They then tried the key on various cracks along the garden wall until, finally, they heard a faint click. A hidden stone panel slid aside. Behind it lay a small chamber, musty air rushing out. Lucy and Jerome shined a flashlight inside, revealing a wooden chest nestled amid old cobwebs. Removing it took some effort, but once they eased it out, Jerome found it was locked with an iron clasp. "There must be a key," Lucy said. Jerome rummaged around the hidden space and at last found a small side drawer in the wall, containing an ornate key that fit perfectly. With a soft creak, the chest popped open to reveal a trove of documents, leather-bound journals, official seals, and old letters, possibly the Farnsworth family records that Jerome sought. He carefully thumbed through the pages, relief flooding his features. "These contain property deeds dating back generations," he said, "and personal diaries that detail my family's rightful claims. Thomas can't contest this. It's well documented here. Thank you." Lucy felt a flush of warmth at his gratitude. Though startled by the cloak and dagger approach, she was glad to have played a part in preserving a piece of Dewdrop Downs history and giving Jerome hope for safeguarding his family's legacy. Their relief was short-lived. As they prepared to leave, a figure appeared at the rusted door entrance. Tall, broad, with a hat pulled low over his eyes. "Too late," the stranger said in a gruff voice. "I've found you." Lucy's stomach sank at the menace in his tone. Jerome stood, shielding the chest with his body. "Thomas," he growled. The man took a step forward, flashing a mocking grin. "All those cryptic messages. Did you really think I wouldn't notice your comings and goings? Hand over whatever you found." Though Lucy's heart pounded, she fought to stay composed. She remembered the pottery tool in her pocket. A metal scraper. It was no weapon, but perhaps could be a distraction. Thomas advanced, and Lucy met his gaze. "You don't have to do this. If these documents prove the Farnsworth rights, then maybe we can negotiate." Thomas sneered. "Negotiate? I have my own plans for this land. I can't let you keep it." He lunged, snatching at the chest. Jerome wrestled back, desperate to maintain possession. They stumbled among the debris. In the scuffle, Lucy swung her metal scraper, catching Thomas off guard. Though it didn't hurt him, it caused enough surprise to make him let go of the chest. Jerome dashed toward the garden doorway. "We must leave now," he hissed. Lucy followed, casting a look over her shoulder. Thomas was already recovering, fury etched across his face in the moonlight. The two allies bolted through the yard and out the iron gate. Once safely on the quiet street, they paused, breathless in the shadows. Lucy pressed a hand to her chest, the chilly air searing her lungs. "He'll come after you again," she said. Jerome nodded. "I must secure these documents at once, then contact my lawyer. I apologize for putting you in harm's way." Lucy managed a shaky smile. "I'd be lying if I said that wasn't terrifying, but I'm glad I could help." With that, Jerome thanked her, then disappeared into the darkness, clutching the chest. The next morning, Lucy woke with the previous night's adrenaline still coursing through her. She hurried to open her shop with shaky hands, keen to tell Rosemary everything, but when she swung the doors open, she found a note waiting for her on the pottery wheel. It read, "Thank you. I will never forget your kindness. JF." Lucy exhaled, a gentle warmth filling her chest. She carefully tucked the note in her apron pocket, determined to keep Jerome's secret safe until he revealed everything through proper channels. Over the following weeks, no more cryptic etchings appeared on Lucy's creations. Customers strolled in, purchasing holiday gifts or replacing chipped everyday items, with no inkling of Lucy's late-night caper. She half expected Thomas to barge in, demanding she reveal Jerome's whereabouts, but all remained quiet. One breezy afternoon, she spotted a headline in the local newspaper, "Historic Farnsworth Estate Proves Ownership Sale Blocked." According to the article, undisclosed evidence had emerged, preventing any fraudulent sale. Lucy smiled, guessing exactly what had happened. Days faded into a peaceful routine. Lucy continued shaping clay with care, determined to hone her craft. She felt a renewed vigor, recalling that her artistic spontaneity and attention to detail had proven crucial. Even though she had questioned her skills before, these events underscored the power of creativity in solving real-life puzzles. The letters etched into her pottery, so mysterious at first, had sparked a thrilling adventure. On a bright Sunday, Lucy found herself humming as she arranged a new row of mugs. The studio was quiet again, just the way she liked it, though now she was careful to double-check her locks. She glanced at a row of pieces waiting to be bisque-fired, her mind drifting back to the moment she first discovered the secret messages. It felt as though an odd dream had ended, yet the significance of the entire experience lingered, like the texture of hand-thrown clay. Late in the afternoon, Rosemary popped by, carrying a bouquet of bright dahlias, her face alight with curiosity. "I noticed the Farnsworth estate was in the paper," she said, winking as she handed over the flowers. "You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you?" Lucy smiled conspiratorially and patted the bouquet's petals. "Maybe," she said softly. "It seems I've found my own way to help preserve the town's history. It's a reminder that behind every quiet storefront can lie an unseen story." Having placed the flowers in a handmade ceramic vase, Lucy poured tea for herself and Rosemary. They relaxed in the cozy back corner of the shop, the honeyed afternoon sunlight filtering through the windows. Lucy's gaze drifted to her pottery wheel, where earlier she'd shaped a whimsical new design, one dotted with subtle, almost hidden decorations around its rim. She realized she now understood how meaningful, small, seemingly insignificant details could be. A swirl in the clay could be a clue. A faint line of glaze could lead to a discovery. "Do you think you'll ever see Jerome Farnsworth again?" Rosemary asked, sipping her tea. Lucy shrugged thoughtfully. "Maybe not. He risked a great deal simply by contacting me, but I know he came to me because he trusted an outside perspective. I'm grateful for that chance." Indeed, Lucy harbored a hope that if he needed more pottery, this time, perhaps for a celebration, he would come by in person. No more secrets etched into raw clay. The memory of that moonlit garden still glowed softly in Lucy's mind. What struck her most was the delicate mosaic of trust, artistry, and collaboration that had allowed them to protect something precious. Here in Dewdrop Downs, under the veneer of rolling hills and quaint shops, there pulsed a living history that could vanish if not guarded. Maybe from time to time, it needed a vigilant spirit and a bit of creativity to keep it safe. In the months that followed, Lucy poured her heart into the craft, inspired by the hush of mystery that had visited her studio. Each time she sat at the wheel, she remembered the spark that had come from those secret messages. She'd sometimes catch herself smiling, recalling her initial bewilderment upon finding the etched phrases. What might have happened if she had dismissed them as random mistakes? Her entire life would be that much duller, lacking the delightful sense of wonder that had ignited her days and nights since. One evening, just as Lucy was about to lock up, a figure lingered outside. Her heart skipped, recalling that tense midnight at Farnsworth Estate. She opened the door cautiously, but it was just a shy teenager, hoping to sign up for pottery lessons. Lucy's face lit up. "Of course," she said kindly, showing the newcomer around and explaining how to mold clay with gentle hands. Though it was a small moment in her day, it exemplified what Lucy now cherished. The notion that every person who entered her studio might carry a story or a purpose yet to be discovered. Time and again, she found herself thinking that perhaps pottery, in its own humble way, was the perfect canvas for hidden wonders. After all, clay was pliable, a surface that could hold secrets until they were revealed. Lucy resolved to always keep an open mind. If someday another cryptic etching appeared, she'd be ready. For now, the studio remained hushed under the deepening dusk. The final customer gone, Lucy gently turned the sign from open to closed. On her walk home, the sweet smell of gardens drifted through the country lanes. She paused beside an old stone wall, letting her hand graze its weathered surface as though it might contain a hidden compartment. The Farnsworth estate rested down the road, secure in the knowledge that its rightful family would protect it. Lucy closed her eyes, savouring the mild autumn air and the sense of completion. The day might come when the unknown potter would return, but until then, her life in Dewdrop Downs was one of simple pleasures and subtle mystery. She couldn't imagine it any other way.